sure the volume is down. Much love, peace and wellness, family. I hope that y'all are well and happy and whole and all that good stuff. I am the Queen Poe, and the intention for this video is for us to discuss our upcoming full moon in Gemini that we have peaking on December 4th at 6:13 p.m. Eastern Time. And the shadow period for this full moon in Gemini starts today and it will last until December 7th. So the intention for this video is to discuss the meaning of this planetary alignment, how it may impact our energy, and lastly, identify some practices, journal prompts, crystals, herbs, and all of that other good stuff that we can implement and utilize to use all of this energy for our wellness and have it conspire and work in our favor. Okay. Now, before we get into it, first and foremost, I have to say shout out to the wellness community. I see y'all in the comments, the butterflies in the sky. Much love to my tribe. If you are desiring to join the wellness community, feel free to check out the scroll at the bottom of the screen. One thing about the wellness community that we love to do is honor each and every month with an intention, a theme of the month that we are all moving in alignment with, right? And this month, shout out to the first of the month. Happy first of the month to everybody. This month is our dedicated December, where we are taking time to reflect, assess, and identify our dedications. And we are utilizing some journal prompts that I will share with you all today during this full moon live. But also, of course, our book of the month is centered around manifestation. So we'll be reflecting on that and our ability to manifest, our practices of manifesting. We do a lot of film watch parties, show watch parties, podcast watch parties, the book club listening parties, and also we have a lot of family conversations and open Q&As, and I'll also do a little teaching in there and things like that, right? So we like to have a good time. And the most important thing is that we are a collective, a community of seekers and knowledge bringers and knowledge receivers, right? We value learning and growing as a collective, and that is what we do. Okay. So if you are desiring to join a wellness-centered community, a spiritual community, definitely join the tribe. It's only $5 a month. And yes, you get all of the benefits for $5 a month. So feel free to join the tribe. Now, with that being stated, I was very intentional about our first of the month being set with the intention of dedicated December, right? And I wanted us to really be intentional about minding our here and now, our mindfulness. This month, December, is the last month of 2025 according to the Gregorian calendar, right? Because we have the lunar calendar, we also have the spring equinox, which follows the astrological calendar, right? So there's multiple calendars that people follow, right? And those are just a couple. There's a lot of different calendars and a lot of different New Years that people honor, including myself. But according to the Gregorian calendar, December is the last month of that. And I'm noticing in a lot of spiritual spaces is that folks is rushing to 2026. Folks are already talking about the astrology of 2026. Folks are already talking about the Chinese New Year, which is actually, a lot of people don't know, the Chinese New Year goes according to the lunar calendar. So it's not until February, but it's December, and folks are already talking about how 2026 is the year of the fire horse and all of these things. And I'm like, y'all, wait a second. Let's wait a second. Let's take a moment to reflect, right? Let's take a moment to really just enjoy where we are here and now, December 2025. Let's take a moment to reflect on these past 12 months of our life and assess, what have we been dedicated to? What was your theme of the year? Have you been moving in alignment and dedicated to that theme of the year? Have you been practicing your wellness consistently? How has your discipline evolved? How has your spiritual journey evolved? How has your relationships evolved? How has your identity evolved over these past 12 months? What are you grateful for? What are some big lessons that you learned? What are some big blessings that you received, right? Like, before we start moving into 2026 and predicting 2026, let's take a moment to reflect, right? And this full moon in Gemini offers us the opportunity to do that because we know that full moons are all about reflecting, revealing, and releasing anything that is not aligned with our wellness, anything that we don't want to carry with us into the next moon cycle specifically, right? So, this full moon in Gemini offers us the opportunity to do all of that. One thing about Gemini energy that I love is Gemini energy is known for being very adaptable. Gemini is a mutable air sign that is ruled by Mercury, and many folks are very familiar with Mercury. Shout out to Mercury, which is actually direct right now, thankfully. Okay. Thankfully, Mercury is fully direct right now, but Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is our planet of communication, transportation, personal technology, and agreements, right? Again, when we're talking about Gemini energy, that mutable energy, Geminis are known for being very adaptable. They are very good at shape shifting and blending into any room that they enter in. Another beautiful thing about Gemini is that they are multifaceted beings, which contributes to their adaptability. Gemini is often known for being represented by the two sides or the two faces, right? Often represented by the twins, right? And it really is a representation of duality, understanding multiple aspects of yourself, multiple sides of yourself, and finding some balance and harmony in your opposing or contradictory perspectives or sides of self, right? How I like to describe Gemini duality is really the duality between the spirit and the ego, and everybody doing the work to assess your relationship with your spirit, assess your relationship with your ego, and find balance between the two, right? So, anytime we have Gemini energy fronting, whether in a full moon or a new moon, right? Or we're in Gemini season with the sun in Gemini, it offers us the opportunity to really assess our relationship with duality and with those aspects of spirit versus ego. And which one are we leading with? Which one are we present in the moment? And how can we build a better relationship between the two, right? So that's what we have the opportunity to do with this full moon in Gemini, right? Now, I want to be very clear. So, with this, usually with my lives, I use my notes as a reference, but I kind of flow off the top for the most part. But what I really want to do for this specific live is I want to go through my notes verbatim with you guys because I have a lot. I have a lot, and I don't want to miss anything. Okay, because sometimes I'll just kind of skim over certain bullet points from my notes, and the wellness community they get the notes after the live, so they get the details and everything. But with this one, I want to be very clear and speak about things in detail. So how I'm going to do this live is I'm going to reference my notes as far as for the energy impact and the what to do, and then I'll elaborate as I reference them. Okay. Peace, y'all. I see y'all saying hey and hello. Much love. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hi, y'all. I love y'all dearly. Thank you for pulling up as always. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go through start with the first energy impact, which anytime we have full moons, we know full moons increase our emotions, right? The full moon is aligned with the Orisha Yemoja, and Yemoja is all about the divine feminine energy. She is the divine mother Orisha. The full moon as a whole represents the divine feminine, but most of all represents the emotion aspect of the divine feminine. The moon is known as our emotion body. When we have full moons, the full moon pulls at the tides, literally the tides of the ocean, the tides of the water. And we are more than 70% water. So naturally, the water within, the energy of the water within is elevated. The energy of the divine feminine is elevated. So that looks like elevated creativity, elevated emotions, elevated nurturing energy, elevated intuition as well. Those are just some of the divine feminine aspects. So naturally, we will all have an increase of that intuitive energy, but also that emotion energy. So the first bullet point that I wrote under energy impact is many of us will be feeling super sensitive and in tune with our emotions, leading to a lot of big feelings. Now, the reason that this one is going to be very important with the full moon in Gemini is because when we have our Gemini energy present, Geminis are known for being a little dramatic, just a tiny bit dramatic. just a tiny bit big in personality, right? Gemini's, and again, that duality, right? When they retreat and they want to go within, they know how to go within, but baby, when they are out, they are out. Okay. They have like the most dramatic personalities. As I always tell y'all, we could run down the list of some of our most popular Geminis, like Tupac Shakur, like Kendrick Lamar, like Kanye West, and many other other Geminis who have that big personality, right? Which is one of the reasons why they are usually famous, and they are usually very popular at what they do and also very beloved, again, because of that adaptability. So, again, naturally with full moons, you will have that increased connection with your emotions. But full moon in Gemini looks like expressing big feelings that you have. Again, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is our planet of communication. So having the desire to express and talk about these big feelings and these big emotions. Also, don't be surprised because Geminis are known for being very communal and very social. Don't be surprised if your empath energy is picked up as well. So if you feel yourself kind of deeply emotionally connecting with the people around you, don't be surprised if you find yourself feeling a lot of big feelings that don't belong to you, that actually belong to other people. That's that full moon in Gemini energy. And keep in mind, the shadow period starts today and ends on the 7th. So all week long, a lot of empath energy will be increased for a lot of people, but also a lot of intuition. Okay. Now, the second impact I want to talk about is desire to become more refined in your routine. And get into this, the desire to become more refined in your routine, to tighten up or increase in frequency or consistency of your routine, which will lead to, and this is what it may look like, increased self grooming, catering to your home decor, and other things that bring you self delight and pleasure. Okay. So don't be surprised if you find yourself kind of naturally wanting to pick up or increase your routines of self-care, of nurturing, of caring for your beauty regimen, of wanting to do some things, some redecorating in your house, wanting to finish off that home project that you have, wanting to redecorate your office. And the reason why this is important is because opposing, meaning causing us to feel off balance, and we will find balance if we cater to our oppositions, right? And we find a balance between these oppositions. Opposing our full moon in Gemini, we have the sun, which is our connection between our highest divine self and our Ori. We have Mars, which is our planet of action. And we also have Venus, which is our planet of beauty, love, relationships, values, and physical abundance. The interesting thing about those oppositions are they are all really good, right? The only time that they will feel like a bit of a challenge is if you are choosing to tap into laziness, if you're choosing to tap into procrastination. That opposition of Venus, the sun, and Mars, our planet of action, will look like and feel like us really having the desire to, again, increase our routines of physical self-care, emotional self-care, nurturing, right? Really increase our connection with other people who we are in relationships with, and maybe wanting to have like some very serious Gemini, emotionally heavy conversations in our relationships, wanting to decorate our homes and redo things centered in beauty and home decor and all of that. You will feel off balance if you decide not to do those things. You will feel off balance if you decide to kind of just stay in the status quo and remain the same and remain consistent and not fix up the house, not finish off the home project, not finish the art project. Also, don't be surprised if you find yourself, and this is coming from the physical abundance aspect of Venus. Don't be surprised if you find yourself randomly on a job search and you're like, why am I looking at new jobs, desiring a career shift or career change? You will feel off balance if you don't do those things. Okay. So Tap into it, play in your hair, do the beauty routine, try out the new makeup routine, the new skincare products. Again, redecorate the house or redecorate the office, start a new project, right? Maybe create some goals or some plans around the new project. Have those emotional, thick conversations in your relationships. That Venus opposition is calling for all of that. And again, you will feel off balance if you don't tap into that energy. Gemini is saying, I feel things, I feel things. The sun, our Ori, our spirit self is saying, my intuition is telling me to do this. Spirit is leading me to do this. Venus is saying, this is the area where you need to be doing things. And Mars is saying, let's take action and let's get it done. If you don't tap into that energy and allow that energy to balance itself out, especially with that Gemini energy of, hey, this is going to serve me and make me feel well. Again, that Gemini energy is all about big feelings and what is going to help me and what is going to help me feel well, which a lot of people connect with the ego. And a part of the big feelings is the ego. But that's why that sun opposition is so important, because this full moon in Gemini opposing our sun in Sagittarius is all about balancing our ego with our intuition, our ego with our highest divine self. So, how can you do that? You allow your highest divine self to lead your ego. You allow your highest divine self to guide you on what is going to help you feel well. Yes, you have big feelings. Yes, you have big emotions, but allow your highest divine self to guide those emotions and center them in wellness by catering to that Venus energy, taking action that Mars in those Venus areas. Child, I'm getting tangled up in my blend. I almost got tangled in my blend, caught up in the rapture of Synthetica. Okay. Anyway, let me calm her down. Sometimes you gotta pet her. Calm down, girl. There. Okay. But yes, that is how you will utilize this opposition energy for your wellness. Okay. Now, the third energy impact, and this is where we'll get into what may be a bit of a challenge. And this is really coming from our squares. Okay. So, squaring our full moon in Gemini, we have Neptune, which is still retrograde, but going to be going direct very soon on the 10th. Okay. So we have Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and we also have Saturn, which is now direct in Pisces. And Saturn is our planet of boundaries. Okay. Boundaries and restrictions. Neptune is spirituality and dreams. So, with that being stated, squares can bring us challenges, right? So what we will be challenged to do is find balance between being in solitude and being in community. Okay. Don't be surprised if you find yourself feeling guilty about not wanting to be bothered with others while also longing to feel wanted in community. I'm going to read that again. Challenged to find balance between solitude and community time, and feeling guilty about not wanting to be bothered with others while also longing to feel wanted in community. And this is really, again, coming from that square of Neptune, spirituality, and dreams. And that Neptune retrograde is really calling for us to want to be alone and want to spend some time with self and really just connect with our own spirit, right? It's really saying, I want to be by myself and I want to just connect with me and get a deeper understanding with me and spend some time meditating and being in my own heads and possibly daydreaming and manifesting. And I want to do all of that. And I'm feeling it's December. I'm feeling cozy and comfortable. And I want to just cuddle up in my bed and just be in my own thoughts and in my own head. But also, it's community time, and I'm getting called on to do certain things and to show up certain places, or people want to talk to me on the phone or want me to go here or want me to go there, and I don't really want to. I really want to be with self, but also I like being invited. I like being with family. I like, having being appreciated by my tribe. So I want to go and I want to show up, and I don't want to disappoint people. I want to answer the phone. I want to be there for other people, but I also want to be by myself and with myself. With Saturn now being direct, this is a good time to be very clear about your boundaries. This is a good time to really be very communicative about your boundaries, right? Communicate to your friends and family and people that you are in relationships with. Again, that Venus energy, right? So communicate what you need when it comes to solitude and time alone and being in community with other people, right? Communicate what that looks like. Communicate how that boundary is now going to be set up for you of like, hey, I know that we're used to talking on the phone for a certain amount of time, but when we're on the phone, I can't really handle these types of conversations, or this is what I'm open to, or hey, actually, we could talk about whatever on the phone, but I only could do this amount of phone time because I need some time just to kind of sort through my own head, right? Or I need some mommy time, or I need some daddy time, right? Like I just need some time for me, and then I could be everything for everybody else as y'all need me. This is a good time to communicate those boundaries, but first you have to find that balance within self. So ask yourself, what is my divine balance between being in community and being in solitude? How much time alone do I need to feel well enough to be in community and serve my community? And community looks like family, the people in your own household as well, right? So, how much alone time do you need in order to be well enough to fully thrive and serve and pour from a full cup as opposed to an empty cup? Okay. Now, the fourth energy impact, and I already kind of touched on this a little bit, okay, with that Venus energy, but pondering a career shift, reassessing relationships and spiritual practices. And again, that comes from that opposition of that Venus energy, which is all about your values, your relationships, beauty, physical abundance, etc. The pondering career shifts is that physical abundance. The pondering or reassessing relationships is also that Venus energy of relationships, right? And then the spiritual practices is also going to come from your values, the values aspect of Venus, but also that Neptune retrograde square, reassessing your spiritual practices and potentially wanting to add some new spiritual practices. Peace. Yes, you call alive. Hey. Okay, so yes, potentially wanting to add some new spiritual practices or wanting to release some that you kind of feel like are not really doing what you need them to do, or they are no longer elevating your wellness and elevating your spirituality, right? Sometimes, and I was having a conversation with a sister, she's also y'all, we on YouTube. Y'all know her. I couldn't think if she had a YouTube, but I was having a conversation with the trap. Which shout out to my sister Queen, much love. Her sister, her name was Tatiana. Much I don't know if she tell y'all be careful. I don't know if people be telling y'all they real name and stuff like that, but shout out to the trap. Which her and I ran into each other just randomly on happenstance here in Atlanta, and we ended up going to a local cafe and just having a long conversation. We talked for a couple of hours. And one of the things that came up was like evolving out of spiritual practices, right? As two people who are very, okay, so she do tell y'all her real name. She said Tati. Okay. Okay, perfect. But as two people who have been on spiritual journeys for many moons and who have been publicly at the forefront of spirituality on the internet for a while, we both were talking about our evolution in spirituality within ATRs, out of ATRs. I identify as a free-flowing spiritualist. I was initiated over a decade ago, but I now identify as a free-flowing spiritualist. She's initiated into multiple practices. And I don't know, I'm not going to speak on her identity. I don't know her identity, but she also has evolved in and out of some practices and things. So we were just talking about the value of what the spiritual journey looks like and how people have to be more open to evolving and don't be so attached to a title or don't be so attached to a religion, even if it's an African religion, that you're keeping yourself complacent and stuck on your spiritual journey. And when we have Neptune retrograde squaring, bringing some challenges to our big emotional also duality, full moon in Gemini, we are really being called to assess our spiritual practices and assess what we may need to evolve into and out of, right? So just be aware of that. Don't be surprised if you kind of find yourself reflecting on your spiritual practices and saying like, hey, I think I might need to kind of let this go or kind of leave this thing or join this thing, step into this thing. I kind of want to move away from this religion or I want to move closer to this religion, right? So don't be surprised if you kind of feel yourself naturally having these thoughts and wanting to assess. And again, this full moon in Gemini is the perfect time to reflect and reveal and release. Okay. And the last energy impact, assessing. Ooh, mm, let's get into this one. Assessing your relationship with surrender, detachment, and relaxation. Assessing your relationship with surrender, detachment, and relaxation. Okay. And this is going to come from our Pluto trine in Aquarius. So, right now, Pluto, our planet of major transformation, generational transformation, as well as power and government, is trining, bringing some harmony to our full moon in Gemini energy, right? And one thing about Gemini energy is, as I said, Gemini is known for that duality, the relationship between ego and spirit. Gemini is known for that assessment of that relationship. Gemini is known for also enjoying power and being centered in power. So when you have this harmony, this trine with our planet of power and our planet of generational change and transformation, we are being called to really assess our relationship with power, right? And oftentimes, power is deeply connected to control, wanting to have control over certain things. And this is my nice way. Y'all see how I did that very nicely? Y'all see how I communicated that very nicely? This is my nice way of saying Geminis can be controlling as fuck. Okay. This is my nice way of saying Geminis can be very much it's my way or the highway. Geminis can be very much like, yeah, I'm listening to your thoughts and I'm listening to what y'all think we should be doing. And I receive your input, but nigga, I got a plan. I said what I said, and we gonna follow this plan. That's Gemini energy. Okay. So, what we all need to be doing right now is being very intentional about assessing our relationship with surrendering, with releasing some of that control, right? Identifying what are the things that you can control and what are the things that you are dedicated to controlling, right? Dedicated December. But also, what are some things that you need to be more dedicated about intentionally releasing or detaching from? Dedicated to intentionally releasing control over, right? Surrendering. What is your relationship? And again, this is happening to that full moon in Gemini that's studying our duality energy. What is your relationship between power and freedom? What is your relationship between surrender and control? What is your relationship between detachment and attachment? What is your relationship with the duality of all of that, right? So take some time to assess that because right now, that full moon in Gemini energy is going to have a lot of folks saying, I got it. I got this. And I think this is also one of the reasons why so many people are rushing to start planning for 2026. Get into that. This is one of the reasons why we literally, today is December 1st, and there's so many people who are already talking about next year and getting it together for next year and wanting to implement this plan for next year. And I'm like, slow down. Slow down. But that's that full moon in Gemini energy telling folks come up with a plan. Let's get it together. We got to take control and wanting to prepare and fix and get it done. We will have time to do that in Wellness Community. I wrote that in our post this morning, our dedicated December post, because everything is mapped out perfectly. The universe is always conspiring in your favor. Shout out to The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. That was one of our spiritual practices I put in the dedicated December post earlier today. Y'all, That book has been on my mind so heavy, so heavy, so heavy. So that's going to be my personal read for this month, along with our collective read with the wellness community of Embrace Your Calling and Manifest the God Dream in Your Life by Edwina. Shout out to her, Edwina Finley Dickerson. Shout out to the Sister Queen. That's going to be our book of the month for the wellness community. But anyway, like I was saying, one of the things that's super important for Dedicated December is for us to realize that the universe is always conspiring in your favor. And the month of December is mapped out perfectly for us to, during this full moon, take some time to reflect and center ourselves in gratitude and really just be present in the here and now and release anything that we are carrying that is not aligned with our wellness. While also toward the end of December, specifically December 19th, we have a new moon. And that new moon in Capricorn, in Sagittarius, is offering us the opportunity to really just start to set intentions for the next year and start to manifest for the next year and start to think of a goal and a plan. One thing about Sagittarius energy is it's all about expansion, y'all. Sagittarius is about expansion. It's about adventure. Sagittarius is deeply connected with Jupiter. So it's about expansion. It's about adventure. It's about philosophy. So wait until the 19th and after to start pondering 2026. But right now, for this full moon, take the time to focus and reflect and assess and release. This is the perfect time to do that. So again, always remember that the universe is conspiring in your favor. The planets are moving and working in your favor. Always utilize this energy for your wellness. But like I said, that Gemini energy, I really feel like that's what's calling a lot of people to want to jump ahead to 2026 and get some control over it, right? But this is why it's important for us to assess our relationship with surrendering as well, okay? Now, quickly, let's move to the what to do's. I feel like I've already touched on a lot of these with when I explained the energy impact, but still want to run through them again because these are the ones that are kind of thick in the notes. Okay. The first thing to do, be intentional about bringing awareness to your emotions and getting to the root of them. Remember, full moon in Gemini leads to big emotions. Some big feelings may pop up that seem to be triggered from small things, like watching a show or a small comment that kind of just sticks with you. It's likely triggering emotions that are connected to a deeper memory. Identify that memory, the emotions connected to that memory, extract the lesson, and release anything that you are holding on to from that memory that is not serving you well, right? And again, this is going to a lot of our full moon reflection work, all right? And really getting to the root of those big feelings that may come up with that full moon in Gemini. The second thing to do, practice intuitive Venus, Sun, and Moon balance. Remember, Venus and the Sun is opposing our full moon. So we have to have oppositions can cause us to feel off balance, and we got to be intentional about bringing balance to those opposing energies. So this is how we do it. It's okay to be a little vain right now. Shout out to my aunt who transitioned, my eldest aunt. She used to always say, I'm a little vain. She was proud of it, honey. She used to say, I'm a little vain. That was the diva aunt. That was the aunt that taught me about exfoliating as a little girl. That was the aunt that taught me how to bake my first cake from scratch. She was that aunt, lipstick on, nails done, just walking around the house with the muumuu. Always had the fancy muumuus with the lipstick on, nails done fancy. I'm a little vain. And she taught me to embrace that aspect of yourself, embrace being a little vain, and embrace the ego aspect where you want to be beautiful and you want to get your things done and have your home nice, right? So practice intuitive Venus, Sun, and Moon balance. It's okay to be a little vain right now. Increase your self-care. Glamour magic. Shout out to the wellness community. We talked about glamour magic last week during our open Q&A, etc. Gemini energy calls us to tap into our ego and the sun calls us to tap into our spirit self. So practice packaging the two by allowing your intuition and spiritual practices to guide your physical care of self and your environment, right? So that's what I was talking about earlier with finding that balance between the full moon in Gemini opposing our sun, Venus, and Mars, which is calling us to take action, right? So find that balance by allowing that sun energy, that intuition, that highest divine spirit self to guide that ego, to guide how you practice that vanity that can be connected with ego, guide how you practice that Venus energy, that self care, that nurturing that the full moon is calling us to do, that catering to your glamour magic and things like that, right? And if y'all want to in the chat right now, y'all can start sharing some of y'all favorite glamour magic tips with the wellness community during our family Q&A. I shared some of mine, some of my favorite glamour magic tips. The one that I will share with y'all right now, right? I told the community, and something I deeply believe and something I learned from my aunt who was a little vain, is that true glamour magic starts within. It starts with taking care of the internal. It starts with making sure that you are drinking your water and your herbs consistently, making sure that you are eating well, making sure that you are getting your rest. My aunt used to always say, you could be tired, worn down, and you could put on a bunch of makeup to try to cover up the bags and cover up the fact that you're drained. But when you are truly glamorous and truly magical and truly taking care of yourself, you don't need any of that. Makeup is not a bad thing at all. She was a makeup lover, right? But when you are truly glowing from the inside out, you don't need it to be beautiful. You don't need it to be glamorous because you're taking care of yourself from the inside. So that is the tip that I share with the community. That's one of my glamour magic tips, is to always make sure I'm prioritizing rest, always make sure I'm prioritizing drinking my water, always keeping a bottle of water in my purse next to me at all times, being consistent with my herbs, eating well, stretching, getting the blood flow going, all of those things. And then of course we got our physical things and our candle workings, and we got all the smell goods and the glitz and the glitter and all of those things, right? We got all of those things that I share with the tribe as well. But the most important thing is manifest that glamour from the inside out. Okay. Also with the mindset and kindness and all of that type of stuff. But anyway, make sure that you are being intentional about that balance between that Venus, Sun, Mars energy and that moon energy by practicing intuitive glamour magic, intuitive self-care, intuitive nurturing, intuitive relationship building, and all of that. Okay. The third thing to do, be mindful of not isolating your community. Yes, you may be craving more solitude, but balance your priority of self-care with checking in on your loved ones, popping in for a visit, or just sending a loving text to remind them that they are still appreciated. So find that balance between solitude and self-care. I kind of already touched on that. The fourth thing to do, reflect on this last year of your life with the intent of practicing gratitude, extracting lessons, and releasing what no longer serves you. And I'll share some journal prompts with y'all to help with that reflection, assessment, and all of that. And the fifth thing to do, release any emotions, pessimism, and regret that you may be carrying from this year. As always, full moons offer us the time to release anything that is not aligned with our wellness. And this is a good time to do that before you start preparing for 2026. Okay. And then I also have a release 5-step release ceremony video where I talk about 5 ways to release that energy. Y'all can look that up. Just type the Queen Poe release in the search bar on YouTube and it should pop right up. Okay. Journal prompts. Let's get into it. This is going to be quick, but these journal prompts are thick. Also, let me shout out the Sister Queen. Y'all know I got to get my water. Shout out to Nikki Mallory. She sent me Daily planner. This is a daily planner that she created. Okay. It's a beautiful daily planner. This is volume one. It's called The Manifestation Method Begin Within, a guided wellness planner for daily intention, clarity, and growth. This is volume one, January through June. Turn your vision into daily action and lasting transformation. And this is by Nikki Mallory. It's sold on Amazon. Nikki, I see you in the chat, girl. You can also tell them where they can purchase it. The full moon is on the 12th, babe. I mean, excuse me, 12th. It's on the 4th, and the shadow period starts today and lasts to the 7th. But you could tell them where to purchase it. Let me show y'all what the inside looks like. First off, Nikki, it's like a textbook because it's a daily planner. It's a daily planner. So it's enough for every day. But let me show y'all a little bit of what it looks like. This is the inside. I just got it today. Okay, I know y'all can't really see that. No, okay, never mind. Never mind. Okay, but let me read to y'all what it looks like. So over here, you have where you can rate your mood. What's your mood for today? This is for the morning because she has morning and then evening. So for the morning, you can rate your mood. You write what your intention is for today. You wake up, you write something that you are grateful for. An affirmation. Today, I affirm. What are your top 3 priorities for today? How many hours of sleep if you want to track your sleep? And then she also has at the bottom, money in, money out. You can even track your coin. How much money do you set the intention on spending today, or have you spent today? Right? How much money did you make? And then at the top, she has the weather. She has a little space for the weather. You could track the days of the week. And then what are your to-dos and stick-tos? And then she has the time over here. So the time is over here. Now for the evening, before you go to bed, this is a planner that you keep by your bed. Before you go to bed, you write the exercise because did you work out today? Did you step? Did you run? Did you walk? Did you work out today? So you write the minutes that you exercise, your total number of steps. She has a space where you can write how much water did you intake? How much water did you drink? What did you eat? She has a meal tracker section. This is all for one day. And then you write today's achievements. What did you achieve today? For tomorrow, what is your intent for tomorrow? What do you plan for tomorrow? How did you feel? It says how I felt today. How did you feel today? What did you remember to, or what do you need to remember to? What I learned or loved today, and then another space for what I am grateful for. So this is all for one day. It's a morning and evening planner. So the morning is for when you plan, and the evening is your reflection time. And you keep it on the side of your bed. I said, this is something I'm going to keep on the side of the bed, so that way you ain't got no excuse, You keep it on the nightstand next to your bed. When you wake up in the morning, it's the first thing you do, set your intentions, reflect, etc. Before you go to bed at night, you reflect on your day, okay? So this is a planner by Nikki Mallory. This is a planner, a daily planner. Nikki, did you drop the link, babe? Did you drop the link? I probably missed it. You probably dropped it in the chat. Drop the link, babe, so I could put the link up. But before I got into the journal prompts, I wanted to shout out Nikki. Okay, when I pulled it out the box, I said, is this a biblical? Did Nikki send me a Bible? Because it's that thick. Nikki said it's also on Amazon. It's that thick. I said, did you drop a Bible on me, Nikki? Because it's that thick. And this is only volume 1. This is only for January through June. She got enough pages in here. I said, come on now, girl. You said, can we see the cover? This the cover. Take a picture. Hold on. Wait. Take a picture. This the cover. Nikki Mallory. There you go. Okay. The name of the book is The Manifestation Method. Begin Within. Daily Planner. Nikki Mallory. Okay. That's her name right here. Right here. Okay, let's get into these journal prompts, y'all. Shout out to Nikki. Thank you, girl. Okay, journal prompts. Full moon in Gemini. December, dedicated December. It's all about reflecting on what have you been dedicated to. How has this past year of your life been? And let me tell you something. This is a side note. Give us the name again. God damn it. How many times I got to say the name? Huh? Here you go. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to just leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. Huh? Okay. I'm leaving it right there. By Nikki Mallory. Now, let me tell y'all something. These journal prompts is centered around reflecting on this past year of your life. Because as I said in the beginning of the live, December is the end of the year according to the Gregorian calendar. Let me tell you motherfucking spring equinox New Year's niggas something. Let me tell you, you lunar calendar Chinese New Year niggas something. I'm one of them niggas too. Huh? But don't y'all get up in this motherfucker talk about, oh, December is not the end of the year. Don't y'all get up in this motherfucker talking about, we don't need to be reflecting right now because the new year is not until April, until the spring. God damn it, I said according to the Gregorian calendar. We don't need you to prove that you done watched the Hidden Colors documentary. We don't need you to prove that you read Sacred Woman. We don't need you to prove that you done made a trip or two to Africa. Okay? We don't need you to prove it. We know. I said according to the Gregorian calendar. Don't piss me off. Huh? I block niggas for less. Thank you. Let's get into it. Reflection for the end of the year according to the Gregorian calendar. Let's go. As you reflect on the past 12 months of your life, feel free to view some photos to jog your memory. Because I be telling folks, I'm like, you got to reflect on the year. People be like, I don't remember what I did back in March. I don't know what I did back in February. That's why you scroll through. I'm the same way. That's why you scroll through that iPhone photos. You scroll through. As you reflect on the past 12 months of your life, what have you been dedicated to? Was this dedication determined by you, or did life just kind of lead you there? What have you been dedicated to these past 12 months of your life? When you reflect on this past year, if you look back, when I look back over my life, when you look back over your life, what have you been dedicated to? Second journal prompt. Now, y'all know I'm very big on set a theme for the year. What was your theme for the year? And for me, I usually don't share my theme of the year with anybody until that year is done, right? So with that in mind, what was your theme for this year? And even if you didn't have a theme of the year, when you look back over your life and you look back over your photos, you can identify, because a theme is a purpose or a reoccurring event, lesson. What was the reoccurring lesson over the year for you? What was the reoccurring purpose over the year for you? What was the reoccurring events over the year for you, right? When you look back over your life, what was your theme for the year? Did you remain dedicated to that theme that you set at the beginning of the year, or that intention that you set at the beginning of the year? How did the theme shape or impact your experiences over the year? How did the theme shape or impact your experiences over the year? Based on those experiences this year, what would you say your theme actually was? And what is it in alignment with the theme that you set in the beginning of the year? Yes, that's all one journal prompt. Y'all know I write a few. It's a few questions to go under a journal prompt because you got to clarify your thinking. See, my master's is special education. With a specialty in autism spectrum disorder. Okay. So one thing I'm used to doing is teaching in an inclusion classroom. So the inclusion classroom has general education students in there and special education students in there. One thing I know is that everybody don't be getting it at the same time and everybody don't be thinking at the same time as everybody. So usually I have to scaffold the questions to help generate some thinking. So I'm going to read that again because it's some scaffolded questions to push your thinking for my students who need a little more pushing for the thinking. Okay. What was your theme for the year? Did you remain dedicated to this theme? How did the theme shape or impact your experiences over the year? Based on your experiences this year, what would you say your theme actually was? And was it in alignment with the theme that you set in the beginning of the year? Okay, that's journal prompt 2. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay. Y'all, when I drop my mixtape, support a bitch. When I drop my mixtape, support me. Okay? That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Okay? Congratulations. I'm going to cover Mariah Carey. It's time. Because I know a lot of y'all didn't know I was a soprano because I speak with depth. Y'all assumed that I was a tenor. Surprise. Surprise. I got a range. Anyway, third journal prompt. What experiences are you most grateful for this year? What experiences were your biggest learning lessons this year? Are there any residual emotions from this year that you don't want to carry with you into next year? Again, what experiences are you most grateful for this year? What experiences were your biggest learning lessons this year? Because we don't do no regrets. We do learning lessons. What were your biggest learning lessons this year? Are there any residual emotions from this year that you don't want to carry with you into next year? And again, this is a good time to release. Okay, this is a good time to release that. And again, go watch that release ceremony video for steps on how to do the release ceremony. Fourth journal prompts. Considering your partners, I said partner, but I put the S in parentheses because I know some of y'all be floating. Huh? I know some of y'all be with the poly. Okay. So I'll put the S in parentheses for my floaters. Okay. Considering your partner, friends, and family, how have your relationships evolved over this past year? Reflection. How have your relationships evolved over this past year? Were there any relationships that you welcomed? How did they go? Were there any relationships that you had to release? How do you feel now that you are free from those relationships? Overall, how have the relationships in your life elevated you, fed you, or taught you over this past year? So that's our relationship reflection question. I'm going to run through it again. Considering your partners, friends, and family, how have your relationships evolved over this past year? Were there any relationships that you welcomed? How did they go? Were there any relationships you had to release? How do you feel now that you are free from that relationship? Overall, how have the relationships in your life elevated you, fed you, or taught you over this past year? Okay. And fifth and final journal prompt. And yes, I know that these were kind of thick. I told y'all last live when we talked about the new moon. I like I like BBL journal prompts. Huh? I like BBL journal prompts, big body gal journal prompts, okay? Because we got to push our thinking, huh? This is the fifth and final one. How has your spiritual journey evolved over this past year? Has your spiritual identity changed? Your spiritual identity. I told you I identify as a free flowing spiritualist. I've been identifying that way for a while. I got a whole separate video explaining that and what all that means and what all goes into that. If you want more info on that. But I identify as a free flowing spiritualist. My identity has remained the same. I'm still free flowing, right? What is your spiritual identity, and has your spiritual identity evolved over this past year? If so, how and what information or practices impacted this change? Okay, so that's the fifth and final journal prompt. How has your spiritual journey evolved over this year? Has your spiritual identity changed over this past year? If so, how and what information or practices impacted this change? Okay. And the I said, and the last one, moving on to crystals and herbs. Okay. Not the last journal prompt. That was the last journal prompt. Moving on to crystals and herbs. And then we closing out. I'm supposed to be technically I'm supposed to be somewhere at 5:45, but I got about a 15-minute grace period. Okay. So we wrapping up just in time. Because technically I'm supposed to be there at 5:45. They know me. I'll be there by 5. We're gonna be done by 4:30. I'll be out the house by 4:40. Okay. Right on time. Huh? Let's get into it. Crystals and herbs. Crystals in alignment with this full moon in Gemini energy. Green aventurine to manifest abundance, healing, and release emotions connected to memories and past trauma. Green aventurine. Second crystal, chrysocolla. Chrysocolla is for calm, acceptance, and release. You can also use jade for this as well. Chrysocolla, calm, acceptance, and release. I want to get me a jade bracelet. They are so expensive, though. So expensive. Y'all know the jade bracelets that the Asians be wearing for protection and healing? I want to get me one of those. I think they are so cute. I love the intention and meaning. I love that you wear it for a lifetime. I really love the jade bracelets. But the real authentic jade bracelet, have you researched the price? But I'm manifesting one. I'm going to get one. A lot of people don't know, but I'm very frugal. This guy that he does ballet. I think I might have told y'all this story before, but if I tell it again, so what? Listen. This guy that works on my block, right? So I'll be walking and he sees me every day. He always compliment my outfits. And then one day he was talking to me about brands. And I was like, I'm not a brand girl. I said, I just kind of just dress myself. I get what I like. And he was so shocked that I didn't know brands. And I said, baby, this is from a thrift store. This was $5. I got these jeans on sale for $13. Okay, this is from there. And he was so surprised that I be looking so well put together, but my outfit was literally less than $50, $100, including the sneakers. And he was so surprised. I wear a lot of Converse, things like that. Y'all know Converse is very affordable. He was surprised. And I said, you can be cute and frugal. I'm cute and frugal. Okay. My high-end expensive brand is Telfar. Shout out to Telfar because that's high-end couture. For me, baby. Okay, I rep my people. You're going to see me with my Telfar couture Telfar purse, babes. Okay, I don't need your Gucci Louis Prada. I accept it. But I'm going to wear my $200 Telfar purse couture, honey. Okay, couture. They on sale right now, too. Y'all get y'all some. Support Black. Telfar got a sale, Cyber Monday, support Black. For Black Friday, we were supposed to be supporting Black businesses, but I said we should be doing that every day. But they had a good sale. Sacred had a good sale. Pattern Beauty had a good sale, baby. I racked up. And my Black-owned Honey Pot, okay, and y'all know today's Cyber Monday, so y'all get into them Black-owned businesses, okay, and y'all support. Telfar got purses 50% off, 50% off. Support the peoples, okay? Anyway. Third crystal, howlite, balance and communication. Balance and communication, howlite. And what made me think of this is yesterday, the wellness community and we watched for our Sunday film watch party, we watched Jordan Peele's documentary Black Cowboy. And remember the sister who we talked about in part 3 when she was talking about country music, and she had the turquoise or the howlite, and turquoise and howlite can look very similar. So I was like, I wonder which one she had. And I said, let me add that to the crystals list for the full moon tomorrow, right? That because I know I was going to do this live today. I said, let me add that to the list. Shout out to that sister. Y'all remember her community. She the one that we said reminded us of Missy Elliott a little bit. But all of her jewelry, if y'all notice, she had on like the blue crystal jewelry, and that color is very popular. But sometimes it's turquoise and sometimes it's howlite, because turquoise, genuine turquoise, can also be a little expensive as well. So some people will replace it with howlite. Not to say that sister couldn't afford it, but sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between the two. Anyway, I added howlite to this one. Howlite for balance and communication, but you could also use turquoise, okay, for the same purposes, balances and increased communication. Fourth crystal, smoke quartz for protection. That's one of my favorite crystals for protection. I love a good smoke quartz. Fifth crystal, pearls. Pearls for healing and wisdom. Running through them again, green aventurine, chrysocolla, howlite, smoke quartz, pearls. Let's do these herbs. Herbs. Now, these herbs, usually I give y'all a list where it's like, oh, it's good for a spiritual bath, or it's good for smudging, or it's good for tea. This one, every herb is good for something a little different. So in the notes wellness community, I put in parentheses what you should use it for. YouTube family, I'm going to tell y'all after I say the herb what you should use it for. The first herb, sweetgrass, is for healing, love energy, and easy communication. And this one is going to be good for smudging. For the easy communication, you can also make a tea, but I heavily advise smudging the sweetgrass, okay? Second herb, yellow dock root. Yellow dock root is good for releasing blockages and baggage, and this is also good to make a tea. So sweetgrass, smudge, yellow dock root, make a tea with it. Okay, and yellow dock root is also very good for physical health as well. Lime is the third. You could do lime leaf or you could do actual lime, because I know some people, at first I was going to put lime leaf, but I said people probably be like, girl, what the hell? But lime leaf or lime. And that's good for healing and peace. And you could make a lime water. Okay, make a lime water. So I like to cleanse the lime and cut up the whole lime, skin and all, and drop it in the water, okay? And you add one little drop of oil of oregano, good little lime and oregano water, baby, excellent. And that's also good for healing communication as well, all right? But that's for healing and peace. Yarrow is the fourth herb for increased intuition and divination, and you want to make the tea with the yarrow, okay? And then the fifth herb is sandalwood. Sandalwood is good for meditation and reflection. You could smudge with the sandalwood, or if you have it as an oil, I love a good sandalwood oil. And I like to put one drop behind each ear, and then also on my sacred chakra points. Okay. So sandalwood for meditation and reflection, you can smudge with it, or you can use the oil, diffuse the oil, wear the oil, etc. Okay, so running through them again: sweetgrass, yellow dock root, lime, yarrow, sandalwood. Okay, family, that is it. That is all. It is a wrap. All right. I'm about to say that. Keep in mind that our full moon in Gemini peaks on December 4th, Fred Hampton's day that he transitioned. Okay, December 4th. That's why I always remember that day, December 4th. So keep in mind our full moon peaks. It's also Jay-Z's birthday that day. Keep in mind our full moon peaks on December 4th at 6:13 p.m. Eastern time. This is Fred Hampton's moon for the people. The shadow period starts today and lasts until December 7th. Okay, I love y'all dearly. Be well, be joyful, be kind, be your authentic self, be present in the here and now. Take some time to intentionally reflect. Release anything that is not aligned with your wellness, anything you don't want to carry with you into the next cycle. And remember, choose joy. Somebody in the community asked during our last open Q&A, about like being joyful and something, and how do I remain joyful when there's also other emotions going on like sadness or grief or anger. And I said I do both at the same time. I'm always intentional about choosing joy and finding the joy even when I'm experiencing sadness, even in the midst of grief, even in the midst of anger. Find the humor, find the joke, find joy. Happiness is a choice. It's a choice. And a huge part of manifestation is deciding. You have to decide to be happy. You have to decide to be joyful. Decide and choose. I choose joy. Okay. So choose joy, family. Be present in the here and now and choose joy. I love y'all dearly. Happy full moon and much love, y'all. Good night.